David, you suck.
No, you suck, Donald.
You suck. You have no idea how hard my life is. I pay for the studio, I edit all the episodes, and I try desperately to sell my books myself as my books don't fit into literary agents' narrow boxes for what they think sells.
Your life is hard. Ha! My life is worse. I have to find work and pay for myself with a music degree while taking care of a widowed mother. You have no idea how hard that is.
Come on, it can't be that bad.
Not as easy as your life, that's for sure. Look, I've got to go. I've got to return Freaky Friday to the Blockbuster and get ready to record an episode of my new podcast tomorrow, Nerds Are Us.
You just do that. I'm going to return Face Off to the Hollywood Video and get ready to record an episode of my podcast tomorrow, Paleo Bites.
You just do that!
I will.
12 hours later, the next morning. What a night. I had the weirdest dream. Like I was transported from one house to another. Whatever. Wait a second. This isn't my bed. These aren't my dinosaur bed sheets. And whoa, the muscles in my arms are something else. Oh no. I think I switched bodies with Matt David.
Matt, get out of bed! You gotta record an episode of Nerds Are Us!
Oh no. What's the topic?
You're discussing the different Metal Hero series, of course!
Oh no. I don't know anything about the Metal Hero series. What is a Metal Hero anyway? Some bootleg version of Iron Man? A cheap imitation of RoboCop? No. I simply can't do an episode on that. I gotta switch back!
Meanwhile, just a few neighborhoods away. Ugh, what a night. I had the weirdest dream. Like I was transported from one house to another. Whatever. Wait a second. This isn't my room. This place is way too cluttered. And whoa, I've grown like 6 inches. Oh no, I think I've switched bodies with Matt Donald.
Matt, get out of bed. You gotta record an episode of Paleo Bites.
Oh no, what's the topic?
You're discussing the Asian titanosaur, Opisthocoelicaudia, of course.
Oh, what now? I don't know anything about that. It sounds like some paleontologist slept on his keyboard when naming a dinosaur. No, I can't do an episode on that. I've gotta switch back. Oh look, it's David. I mean Donald. I mean David. The phone says David's calling. Hello?
David, are you in my body?
No. I think you just ate too many bean burritos, Donald.
I was wondering what that smell was from my butt. Wait, this is your butt, David! You ate too many bean burritos!
Guilty.
We gotta switch back into each other's bodies, David! We can't record each other's podcast episodes!
Well then, how do we switch back? How does that work in these things?
I don't know, we have to, learn a lesson? Like, try and record each other's podcasts and realize that our lives are actually difficult and learn how to appreciate each other's perspective?
See about that. How about instead we just record our own podcasts in each other's bodies?
Okay. That sounds way easier. Whew! I'm so glad I get to record the episode on the Asian titanosaur Opisthocoelicaudia.
And I am glad I get to record the episode on Metal Heroes. Meet back up afterwards?
Yeah, sounds great, David.
See ya, Donald. Meanwhile, at David's recording studio. Welcome to Nerds Are Us, where we're still searching for your fandom's aisle. Today, I'm joined as always by my good friend, Some Guy I Know. How are you, Some Guy I Know?
You look a bit different, David. Why are you so much taller and less muscular?
I don't know. I ate too many bean burritos. Anyways, today we're talking about the Metal Hero series, the red-headed stepchild of series that came from the Toei company. It's definitely not so popular as its more successful cousins, Super Sentai or Kamen Rider, but it has some really diverse series, from sheriffs to ninjas to bug-themed warriors to whatever the heck Robotech was supposed to be, including a couple of trilogies that had connected continuity, and they've made a comeback in the last decade with a reboot film series and several cameo appearances in other productions. Just wait, there may even be a revival of the series proper in store. I'm so excited. I thought it would be perfect to explain this for some customers in our store so they can look at some products in that aisle. Isn't that fascinating, some guy I know?
Yeah, that is fascinating. I really liked the part comparing it to the red-headed cousin no one talks about at the reunion. And ninjas make everything amazing, so I'm looking forward to seeing this for myself.
Yes, that part is my favorite too. It's so niche. It's right up our aisle.
But this is weird. Your vibe is really different. I don't like this.
I think we'll make it work. Meanwhile, at Donald's recording studio.
Welcome to Paleo Bites, the podcast where the bones groan and the fossils tussle. My name's Matt Donald, and each week I and a rotating series of guest co-hosts talk about and rate a genus of prehistoric animal, be it dinosaur, mammal, arthropod, and so on. This week I'm joined by my good friend, Some Girl I Know. How are you, Some Girl I Know?
I'm okay, I guess. You look a bit different, though. Your arms are less flabby and your head 6 inches closer to the ground. Why is that, Donald?
I don't know, I ate too many bean burritos? Yeah, let's go with that. Anyways, today we're talking about the Asian titanosaur Opisthocoelicadia, which means posterior cavity tail, which is kind of funny. Type, it is a titanosaur sauropod, the group of long-necked dinosaurs that lasted all the way to the end of the Cretaceous. Size, 37 to 43 feet, /11.4 to 13 meters long. It was an herbivore, obviously. Time, late Cretaceous, 71 to 69 million years ago. Location, Mongolia, which makes sense. A lot of cool dinosaurs there, you know, like Velociraptor. Rawr. It was described in 1977. Pop culture appearances? Yeah, like there's any pop culture brave enough to use this creature in its lengthy-ass genus name. Right, Some Girl I Know?
This is weird. You're giving off a way different energy. I don't like this.
I think we'll make it work.
2 hours later.
Wow, that was quite an interesting experience. How was your podcast, Donald?
Oh, it was great, David. We talked the hell out of this Asian titanosaur. How was yours?
It was pretty cool, I've got to admit. Metal Hero series has quite the interesting backstory, I must say.
Cool. So how do we switch back? Do we have to learn that lesson now?
I suppose so, Donald. But that can wait, I guess, now that I don't have any podcasts to worry about.
Sounds good, David. Well, I'm going to go back to Hollywood Video. Tonight, I'm going to rent the classic comedy, The Change-Up.
Sounds good. I'm going to go to Blockbuster and rent the epic anime movie Your Name.
Awesome. Enjoy.
12 hours later. The next morning.
What a night. I had the weirdest dream. Like, I was flying back to my old house. Well, at least I have my dinosaur bed sheets to snuggle with. Wait, I'm back! I'm back! I'm back in my own body! Oh, look, it's David! I mean, David! The phone says David's calling! Hello?
Donald, are you back in your old body?
I am! Are you?
I sure am. But I'm confused. I still think your life is way easier than mine. We didn't learn our lesson at all.
Are you kidding? Your life is way easier than mine, you chump! That's weird. I wonder what happened. Breaking news from Metropolis News Network. A local Mexican restaurant is experimenting with new ingredients, and customers are reporting some truly bizarre results.
Oh, so we did eat too many bean burritos. Welcome, fellow nerds, to another episode of The Ritwit, the show doing more to help illiteracy than anyone. And by helping illiteracy, we mean helping it grow, because apparently you can't read the definition. We make people dumber, don't we, Donald?
We certainly do. I can't read the definition. What is a definition?
What is that thing, as opposed to just a connotation? Anyhow...
What is it? What is it? I can't ride. I can't read. I can't ride or read.
Ride or read.
What we...
I can't white or wheat, either.
Yeah, I gotta have soy bread. Anyway. What we at the Rit have read is next.
Wow, no foreplay at all. Just straight back into it, huh? I was going to say, welcome back to our set.
Oh, yeah, that
Slightly
stuff.
fantasy.
Yep.
This is the last one because we have a surprise for you next week. Keep listening for
3
that.
episodes. Skit. Set,
Also, for
sting.
those of you who are so desperate to get your comments and things you asked us to share, because we have a surprise, we will not be doing Reading the Fan Mail this set. I apologize, but we will have some next set for you.
Yes,
too.
we will.
So,
for
look
all that
forward to
fan mail. Anyways, what we at the Writ would have writ. You get to go first,
Yep.
David.
Thanks largely to a crunch timetable for our recording. The Ritwit helped me accomplish my February word count goals. I managed to get started on the first episode of Season 2 for Starburst, additional to this.
Whoa.
And I wrote a full serial for Captain Rit, which you should definitely become a patron and listen to the full version of that over at patreon.com/Matthew Donald. Cha-ching!
Yep.
Additionally, I am working on some less fun documents like building a resume. Side projects that take up too much time, but I didn't cheat myself and count them as words, or else I might not have needed to write anything else creative. Ouch.
That's true.
And the usual minimal progress on way too many fronts. But hey, got quite a bit of solo violin practice done too.
Well, that does count as writing, as we've established
As we've
many a time.
many a time said.
Anyways, as well as more work on Tesla for me, I've been working my butt off for something special for this show that we've been hyping up there and trying to make it work. But contacting the studio for guidance, working with my friend who I used to work with at the famous coffee shop that now can be named for legal purposes, but I'd rather not for comedic purposes.
If you want to know, check out the 100th episode skit.
It's Starbucks, anyways. They're a publicist now, and I've been working with her and getting this to work. Basically, next episode we got something special cooked up for the show, and hopefully this is the
Nothing from Gaston or Luigi, in case you were concerned.
No, this is a real person. I hate to break the
Special-
magic.
Special. Never mind.
I hate to break the magic of the show, but those aren't real people. I know that they have very authentic and real-sounding accents.
Totally inoffensive ones at that.
Yeah, exactly how they talk, exactly what they say, but those are me saying them in obnoxious fake accents. I'm sorry.
There is a difference between a peek behind the curtain and ripping the damn curtain down.
What is this ridiculous slander you are saying? I am a real person.
It kind of went for like he was going from French to Italian there. It's kind of hilarious.
I am a real person. And I am also a real person. This is ridiculous.
You are
Sacre
ridiculous,
bleu.
Gaston. And Luigi, get out of
All
here.
right, get out of here anyways.
Get out of here. Oh my gosh.
Hi, I'm Rootin' Tootin' Barbecue. I'm Lone Star. I can't do that one.
Papier.
Lone Star. He's going to come up one of these days anyways.
Oh no. Oh no.
Anyways, that's what I've been writing. What have you been writing? Oh, wait, you did it already.
I already did mine because I was first this time anyway.
Ah, man.
But
is
hey,
this real
this
life,
special
or is
cooked up-
this fantasy?
Good song quote from Bohemian Rhapsody, but real quick, the thing we got special, we're hoping that this isn't the last time.
No, hopefully first of many.
So
Anyway.
we'll see what happens.
Well,
Anyway, all right, the most expected of our set, our last.
I mean, that's true of everything. Eventually, everything ends. Except for Paleobites. Paleobites is going to last forever anyways.
Well, the contents that you talk about have lasted forever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Can't wait to... the show's going to last so long.
That he'll actually get me on there for something besides a Patreon exclusive.
Well, that, and then I'll cover animals that were alive when the show started, but have
That are
since
still
become
alive.
extinct.
Oh, wow. Yikes.
Today we're talking about the giant panda, because those are definitely going to go. Like,
I'm so sad that that's the example you brought.
pandas are... They're dying, and it's their own damn fault. Like, we've tried everything. They just want to eat bamboo.
I'm so sorry you bring up pandas because I love pandas.
Pandas are cute, but they are very slow, and they are very lazy, and they don't want to breed anymore. I ripped the thumb off of my glove.
Know the feeling, but I'm gonna blow my nose. So
Anyways, they used to, hunt, little small animals and like some berries, but then they got a taste of that sweet, sweet bamboo, and they just threw their lives away. Bamboo is not nutritious. It doesn't do anything for them. It slows their metabolism way down. It's their own dang fault. They're too high on bamboo. We tried, pandas. We really tried, but you got to put in a little bit of effort yourself. So if you die,
bamboo. I've had bamboo shoots. They're actually quite tasty.
No, I'm just saying the pandas got to put in a little effort themselves. If they don't want to go extinct, they need to stop eating the damn bamboo. But they won't, and they're going to die. That's my hot take.
I was about to say, Ritwit, come for the ridding, stay for the hot takes.
About pandas, anyway.
About pandas.
So, anyways, we're talking about this last thing. One that is definitely not considered, well, it is considered part of the fantasy genre, unlike the other ones. Urban fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Urban fantasy is when the supernatural or fantasy exists completely within an approximation of our modern or near-modern world, either secretly or openly. So rather than all this fantasy crap happening in a faraway kingdom or a fantasy world, it's all in our world, although having an alternate timeline is pretty common as well.
Yeah.
By far the most famous example of this is Harry Potter.
Yep.
But there are plenty of other examples, including Percy Jackson and the Olympians,
Fair enough.
the Dresden Files, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Sabrina.
Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Whedon sounds like he's getting about to be
Yes,
canceled.
yeah, he's a bit canceled. But Sabrina the Teenage Witch,
Melissa Joan Hart is amazing.
yeah, Charmed, Supernatural,
Oh, hey.
and so on.
There's that reference we had 2 weeks ago, finally.
Oh, there goes the iceberg. We passed it already.
Hey, we survived! We kept the
Yeah!
Titanic afloat!
Oh no, why is our thing starting to leak?
Bale water! No, anyway. All right, anyways. Plenty of examples there, I imagine.
Yes. Also, a very popular variation of this is everyone's favorite tween-focused punching bag. Paranormal romance.
God dang Twilight! Blah, blah.
However, despite exactly fitting the technical definition of urban fantasy, it's usually considered a separate genre because its focus on romance is more prevalent than its focus on fantasy, and thus it attracts different audiences.
Apropos of nothing except choosing your target audience, if you have romance in your story but it's not the focal point, can you really call it romance unless you're just trying to milk them for reads?
Let me answer your question with a question. Do you consider my Megazoic books romance novels?
No.
Then there you go. Because there is some romance. It's not the main character.
No, it's not the main part of the story.
It's not the main character or the main part of the story, but there is a romance subplot. There's actually 2 romance subplots, anyways.
Oh, and a non-heterosexual character, even. So
Yes.
if you're interested in finding out more, please go check them out. They're available for print and Kindle at Amazon.
Ding! Bit of a prolonged ding. It's like we're building up to it, anyways. So, starting again with a well-worn question.
This thing's going to be so ratty when we're done with it.
What are the benefits to writing in this subgenre?
As many supernatural elements, trademark, as you desire.
You get a supernatural element. You get a supernatural element. Everyone gets a supernatural
This
element.
country has a different one, and we have all of them considered if you look at the entire world. No, less concerned about how realistic the world is, because truly it's just an approximation.
Yes.
Stellar models with which to inspire your story in this urban fantasy setting. But most importantly, you could include more divide between the aspects of the world, because presumably it, being in this setting, has an impact on the story you're aiming to write.
Right, exactly. And I think that's kind of cool, like the melding of it. Like, and it is really, truly a melding in this case, rather than like,
Just a leaning, and we talked about leaning towards magic and
yeah,
magic
this
realism.
is really a 50-50 split, if not more magic like this time. Probably a lot more magic, honestly.
So in other words, if you wanted to write a present day supernatural, fill in your gag here, you probably want to write this genre.
Right, exactly. Oh, that's not to say it has to be like exactly like the real world, the other stuff. For instance, in Harry Potter, Dudley has a PlayStation 2 years before it was released in Britain.
In the films?
No, in the books. Remember?
I don't.
At the beginning, when Harry is writing Sirius
I didn't think
Black.
it was called a PlayStation, but anyway.
Harry's writing Sirius Black, and he talks about the presents they got, I think, at one point, and he says that that Dudley threw his PlayStation out the window, and he says that was some sort of computer thing that Muggles used to play games.
This is the benefit of Rowling taking more time to write it than occurs in the
and plus,
world of Harry Potter.
that book took place in 1994, so
Right.
because as we figured out, but later on, most people didn't realize it at first, but Harry Potter takes place a few years earlier than when it was written. So, like, the
But
first book took place in
fairly
91.
contemporary.
First book took place in 91, but it came out in 97, and then it's a year on after that. But anyways, while the PlayStation had been released in Japan by that point, it had not been in America or the PAL regions. So,
Well, Japan is a power. Never mind.
oh, okay, whatever the European region is called.
European Union, basically.
Oh, right.
Anyway.
So that's not a real world. That's the one problem I have with Harry Potter.
Well, the other thing, too, is that, like, because the story is tightly plotted enough that this takes the place within a single decade in that world, but it took more time than that for her to publish the whole thing.
Right. Well, it took her a decade. It was 1997 to 2007, but that's 10 years as opposed to 7.
10 years over time that 7 happened in her books.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
But as well, you get all the cool tropes of fantasy, but keeping it in a setting that's more relatable than the standard faraway land sort of thing. There's still world building, but you get to mix it in with more familiar, which makes it more interesting and also more grounded while still being as ridiculous as you want.
Because who doesn't love being ridiculous?
I love
right?
being ridiculous.
We have this podcast. That's ridiculous.
I have a book about dinosaurs with laser guns.
Need I say more?
You guys know how to buy it. Anyways, so I'm actually been doing this a bit with my current story, Tesla Nuts.
Oh, yeah?
It's not urban fantasy. It's more urban sci-fi, honestly. Urban historical sci-fi.
All right.
But it just has a lot of the elements like it. So it's kind of a sci-fi version, I think. You'll find out when it comes out. And I've really been enjoying writing the ridiculous and fantastical stuff while also mixing it in with the historical time period on our real Earth.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is because if you want the world to be realistic and you're doing the research, you can't help but portray some things that maybe people have forgotten. And then there's more, you know.
There's a lot more. But there's a lot of real stuff and there's a lot of ridiculous stuff. Rule of cool is still very much a thing in my books, as David loves.
Yeah, I hope he caught his sarcasm. No, anyway.
Going the exact opposite way with the question I posed in Magic Realism.
2 episodes back.
How few fantasy elements have to be in this story before it stops becoming an urban fantasy and starts becoming surrealism or magic realism?
I don't know if it'd ever go to surrealism per se, but with the number, close air quotes, of fantasy elements, I think there's no prescription for that. But I do believe that how real the world seems, and if all that's included, might spin more towards the other genres we talked about prior.
Right.
Honestly, a bigger change with far-reaching consequences in so many different avenues of life would probably belong in urban fantasy more than magic realism of the two.
That's probably true.
Even if it's technically only like one difference.
Right.
So my bigger determining factor is how you portray the analog of real with the supernatural, rather than ascribing a specific number of, you have to have so many supernatural things before it becomes magic realism, before it becomes urban fantasy.
Well, it's kind of like, what's the difference between a pond and a lake? There's not really like, if it has this much square
I was about
area.
to say perspective, but I don't even think that's right.
What's the difference between a sea and an ocean? It's all bodies of water.
Well, yes, but...
Puddle and pond, pond and lake, lake and sea, sea and ocean.
River or stream.
Oh, but that's just a line. This is all just like areas.
Well, nevertheless...
Yeah, you're right.
Well, what's the difference
between a river, a stream,
or
a leak?
Rivulet. A
Is that a
tributary.
word?
Yes, it is.
Oh, wow.
A tributary.
I don't know my water geography.
Has nothing to do with geography.
Hydrogeography.
Hydrology? I don't know. Anyway.
That's more about the science of water, I think. Hydrogeography, I assume, is how water works in a geographical sort of thing.
Because calling it a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is a little too on point.
PB&J it is. And if you want to hear a really bad joke, look at the other one. Anyways, so when something fantastical happens in magic realism, usually it's an isolated incident. In urban fantasy, the fantastical things are much more commonplace and are much more varied in what they can be and what they are.
Well, especially because you're not quote-unquote limited to one.
Right. However, I think you can add a few alterations to a magic realism story to turn it into something more akin to urban fantasy if you want to just go a bit further.
Yeah.
Like, going back to the classic example I always use, Groundhog Day, if instead the time loop happening to this one guy one time in Punxsutawney, what if instead the town of Punxsutawney has a curse on it, where every Groundhog Day, one unlucky person is chosen to be the victim of this time loop until they get their act together, and Phil Connors.
And now I have
I
Tarzan
wanna
music.
know.
Can you show me?
I wanna know why I'm stuck in this time loop. Why Phil Connors finds other people.
Gotta give him golf claps for that.
Thank you. Where that he'd been trapped before, and he trapped on previous Groundhog Days. So they look at the origin of this curse to free the town and find out there's this big conspiracy and all this other stuff. That's closer.
Apparently, all from a Jill to Dex lover.
See, that's the thing. I still kind of say that that's still technically magic realism because it's still one thing, but it's getting closer.
Yeah.
So it's a gradient. Just keep adding more stuff and you'll get there.
All right. Well, to interrupt his serious musings about Groundhog Day, here's a question. Does it have to be in suburbia or bigger because it's called urban, or could it take place in the countryside?
I mean, Harry Potter mostly takes place in the countryside.
Well, the castle's in the countryside, but London itself is
That's
where
true.
he lives,
Where
right?
Diagon Alley and all those stuff.
Diagon Alley,
That's in London. Hogsmeade's out in the open.
Well,
Most of Deathly Hallows is out in the open.
country town, I suppose. But I mean, like the whole thing. Why did urban get the thing that's picked up as opposed to something else?
Urban doesn't necessarily just mean a city. Because if so, you could say Babylon back in the day is urban. It's not. It also means modern. So,
Modern fantasy? Anybody make a sitcom about that yet?
God, Modern Family is not a good show. It's never been a good show.
I have never watched
I
it.
like all the diversity and inclusivity of it. I love that they showed. It's called Modern Family because they have all these different. There's like gay couples. There's like
gay couple with a kid, if I remember
there's gay couple
correctly.
with kids. There's some like intersex. There's other stuff. It's very modern. I love that. What I
just hate the
don't
show.
like, what I don't like, is that they keep talking to the camera akin to The Office or Parks and Rec, but there's no reason for it. In The Office,
Is it supposed to be a documentary, though?
that's the thing. In The Office, it is eventually real. This is all a big documentary. It's never that in Modern Family. So you can tell the cynicism behind it. They're just like, oh, well, The Office did it, and that's popular, so let's do it here.
Well, and Modern Family certainly has some people that are fans of the show, but that's
Anyways,
not important.
my hot take number 2 of this episode. Pandas.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Sorry. For some reason, I thought it was last episode.
the things that make me angry.
We should just wind up the old Victrola and let him rant. That should be an episode
So
all unto
J.J.
itself.
Abrams.
We're just going to have to put that on Patreon, so if you're interested in hearing his rant episode, get on Patreon and subscribe at the
Speaking of J.J.
exclusive
Abrams,
content
hot
level.
take, The Last Jedi, the one by Rian Johnson, is by far the best one of the sequel trilogy.
I don't know if that's a hot take, but it is. No, anyway.
It's still not good, but it at least tries to do something. Anyways.
Oh,
Anyways,
my goodness.
what is the simplest way to juxtapose the urban and the fantasy? How about the hardest?
Well, the simplest is having a pool of characters that hail from both sides.
Yes.
The Muggles, the magic.
You have Ron, who's in a wizard family. Then you have Hermione, who's in a Muggle family.
who's from a Muggle family but magical.
Of course, she's a witch.
But
so.
then you have Harry, who didn't even know he was because he was raised completely in the non-magical world.
Right, yes.
And their interaction highlights the difficulty adjusting to the knowledge that one is different from the other.
Right.
As to the hardest way, I suppose your mileage may vary, but likely it's something more emotional than a simple story element, but the unforgiving edicts or events that drive home just how irreconcilable those two parts of the world can be. That's not an easy thing to do.
No, but I think that's a thing that I guess is inherently difficult about it. Like with with fantasy, we often think of medieval. We often think of like long ago in a kingdom far, far away sort of thing. But urban, like that's modern. So juxtaposing that is
modern trappings, anyway.
Yes. So, like, that's and I don't know. This is kind of a difficult question. You wrote this question, by the way, listeners. So, the easiest way I think is to juxtapose is just have something that's truly an amalgamation of both, a perfect blending of both.
Lovely word.
Have a magical computer. Nothing exemplifies the pinnacle of modern technology and old fantasy than a magical computer or a magical smartphone.
Yeah, that'd be more
now
modern.
We're talking.
Now we're really there.
It's just a portable magic mirror. Anyways.
Mirror, mirror in my hand, where is the fairest throughout the land?
Well done. Off the cuff. Anyways. Just combining two things that that make the urban and the fantasy is a good way to let the reader know they're in an urban fantasy. This is something that can only exist in both. It can't exist with one without the other. So
Diagon Alley is in London, supposedly, but you have to get there through a special portal that nobody who doesn't have magic can see or even know about.
magic is weird, man. How does I get that it's magic, but how are they just in the middle of London? Like, are they just in the middle of the mall, the Harrods Mall? I don't get it. Where are they? Why aren't they running into people? I know it's magic, but
Well, the pub is facing
is
the
it
front.
underground?
The pub is facing the front, but you go to the back of the pub, and then the wall opens to reveal Diagon Alley, if I remember correctly. So, like, that's on the corner of, what is it, Bleecker Street or something?
Yeah.
And
just
so
where?
that's in the real world, and then you use the back door of the bar, the Leaky Cauldron.
Is
you
it like another
tap the thing and
dimension,
you
like
go in.
gateway to like a sort of pocket dimension? I don't get. Why are they just in the middle?
It's an urban fantasy.
It's
Do we need
magic.
to know?
I get it, but it's just weird to imagine. I'm a Muggle.
You know, the sad thing is that unfortunately with Harry Potter, it kind of too reductively becomes it's magic. And
What's the thing? Like, just imagining that I
explanation.
am a squib who is just walking around London, fully aware of the magical world because I am a magical
from a magical family.
and I've just got the short end of the stick, and I'm just like,
You didn't get the right end of the
somewhere
wand.
I could be walking through a bunch of people just having a good time in Diagon Alley because they are in some sort of weird pocket dimension that I can't see.
Well, theoretically, it's like an alley that's literally in place already, and that's why the street curves, and why the shops are so small and something like
okay.
that. And they just hide it from the real world who doesn't understand.
So, what do we need to pick a winner between these two elements, to opposed elements to focus on in your story?
You didn't actually answer the hard part.
Oh, well, I don't think there is a hard part. Maybe I'm just so smart and talented that all of it's easy for me. Who knows?
Sure. Or you just have too many hand waves. That could be a thing, too.
Anyways.
It's magic. Use your imagination. Anyways.
What do you need to pick a winner between these two opposed elements to focus on in your story?
I mean, I think it's unfair to go into a story without some inkling whether you will pay more attention to characters from the fantastic or down to reality, oh, there goes gravity, side. Obviously, which one has more importance is based on your narrative. Is there a star-crossed deal where characters from two different lives have to overcome and unite in the world? Without delving fully into paranormal romance, I suppose. Maybe you have a character that picks up the trappings of one world after discovering that they didn't belong to the other part.
Right.
I mean, so yes, having a winner in mind is good, but it should never come at the expense of representing both some way to establish the world they inhabit. I don't know how adequate that has to be. I originally wrote adequate in my notes, but
Right. No, I get that.
that's eye of the beholder.
But for
I
me,
suppose.
like, think of the last word in the genre name, urban fantasy.
Oh, you mean you're not italicizing urban fantasy?
Urban fantasy.
It's urban fantasy, listeners.
Yeah. Anyways, more importance is put on the fantasy part than the urban part. The urban part is dressing, but the focus is the fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, if there ever was a winner, it'd probably be that. That's why paranormal romance is a different genre. Think of the last word of that. Romance.
Not paranormal romance.
I just love to imagine like that in the bookstore. Science fiction. Paranormal romance. Historical fiction.
Autobiographical. Oh, wait, doesn't have the same ring.
Children's section.
Well, children's doesn't have two words, I suppose, except if you add section. Anyway, whatever.
Young adult. Anyways. More. All right. So.
Home cooking.
Okay. If we're going to go into non-bookstore stuff, we could be here all day. Anyway.
Well, that stuff is available in a bookstore, like cookbooks, do-it-yourself.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Right.
Duh.
I'm dumb. Me dumb. Anyways.
I are dumb.
I are dumb. Anyways, the paranormal is the dressing. The name is romance. So both are important and both complete each other, but one of them is the focus. The other just
You
complements
complete me. I had to say it.
The classic words of any romance, paranormal or otherwise.
Well, I don't know about paranormal, but
But that's it for this week. A huge thank you to all our patrons so far.
yeah, if you're interested, please check out patreon.com/Matthew Donald. And if you subscribe at a certain level, the exclusive content opens up to you. That's where we have our Ritwit serials in full form. We have some special exclusive episodes.
Right.
Maybe that rant episode I joked about earlier.
Oh, there's a bunch of stuff. A lot of stuff about paleobites, too, my other show. So.
Well, yeah, that's because it's for Matthew Donald, of course.
Yes,
And there are
okay.
ways to follow him, too.
Yes, you can follow me at Matt's D. Wait, sorry.
I skipped over that. I apologize.
Okay, yes, you can contact us first because my co-host so rudely did not say this.
It was a good segue, but it totally glossed over
No,
this
it's
part.
okay. You're okay, man. You are good. Anyways,
You are good. I are dumb.
Yes, you are good. I are dumb.
Anyway, if you'd like to get in
contact
touch
us-
with us, please do that.
Matt D at MattDonCareer.com for any general questions to either co-host.
If you have our excerpts for using our vocab vitamins of the month you want to share, if you have questions and you want us to answer them live, if you don't want us to answer in front of everybody, but we'll get back to you as well, please let us know.
Also, rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts if you want.
Wherever
If you-
you're coming to us from, please leave a rating. If there is such a thing, a like. I know that's a thing on YouTube for helps the algorithm. Comment. Let us know what we can do better.
I got a comment on one of the YouTube videos we did.
Oh,
It's just like, wow, this is cool. You should check out this product. It's a spam thing. So
it helps the algorithm. Thank you.
thank you, spam bot. Anyways, so Elvosa did say you should have more listeners. I'm like how
Working on it.
How rude! How rude, you emotionless spam bot. Anyways, you can follow me on social media at Matthew Donald Creator on Facebook, at Matthew Donald 64 on Twitter, and Matthew Donald 64 on Instagram. Why 64? Because that's how many times I've scammed my insurance providers.
Oh, no.
I'm still on the run. Did I mention I'm on the run?
Why are you sitting in a studio with me who's going to report your sorry butt?
I might have to change my social media accounts.
Officers!
Which, by the way, my social media accounts are Matthew
You
Donald Creator on
can't hear
Facebook.
me. I haven't still hear
I'm
all these
Matthew
weeks
Donald
later.
64 on Twitter. I'm Matthew Donald 64.
I'm Matt David.
I'm Matt Donald.
That was the Ritwit, where us two twits have twitted ourselves out. We will be back next week with a very special episode, so
Assuming
please
I'm not
stay
in prison.
tuned. Well, if nothing else, I will be back. that'll be one in the headlamp. Anyway,
Bit of a spoiler. Get rid of one match, replace it with another.
no, yeah. Well, anyway, please come back for that. It is not a part of this set, like
Just a little bonus
content-wise.
episode.
It really is a special thing, and we're hoping that this is the first chance of many times we get to do this. But if you want to find out more, you'll have to come back next week. So until then, keep on reading,
Keep on reading.
wear a mask,
Wash
your
your hands.
hands, enjoy your loved ones because you never know. And
Something could happen to them.
Something could happen. We hope it doesn't, of course, but something could.
Just to get morbid all of a sudden. But anyway.
Well, I mean, anyway,
Bye.
bye.
I think we'll make it work.